And we are live. Welcome back to my channel, baseball fans. Here we are to do a very special episode with a guest that I've become friendly with over the past couple months. We have a lot of shared interests, including the topic for this evening. I hope everyone's doing well out there. Maybe you're catching a game while you're doing this. I know I have the White Sox on in the background here, and I think Soto will continue to homer throughout this live stream. So please feel free to add that in the chat as it occurs because he's on a tear. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to invite my new best friend, James Elite Hunters, who we did a live stream together, 3-4 months ago now? And we've kind of kept in touch since then. And we found out just within like the last month that we had another shared interest that we can present on. So, but without further ado, I'd like to, for those of you who are not subscribed to James, don't know who James is, I'd like to give him an opportunity to introduce himself and talk a little bit about what he likes to collect and his collecting interests. So, James, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
All right, so we'll get into the topic at hand, but like, tell us a little bit about your channel and what brought you into collecting.
Well, my channel is mainly baseball cards, but also I do collect basketball, football, boxing. So my latest video was unboxing. I did unbeaten greats like Marciano. I did Packy McFarland and Floyd Mayweather Jr. So I like to dabble in everything. I really like the history, which is why we gravitated to each other, because we like researching some of the players and especially like the pre-war players. So we have fun doing that, and it brings to life the card once you do some research and you find more appreciation with it. And I kind of try to do that with the videos where I share what I research.
All right, fantastic. And, actually for tonight, we are not actually talking about vintage cards. And these are all players that we saw during our lifetime, which is a little bit of different from some of the live streams I've done in the past. So we're talking about the anniversary sets tonight. So I'll bring up a slideshow here in a minute. But we found out we had a shared interest because you were talking about the 2011 set, which we'll get into tonight. And I was like, hey, I really like the 2011 set too. And I think at that time, I think you might have known that I was into the 2001 set. So we were like, well, that's 2 of the 4 right there. So like, let's talk about them. Let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of them all. So let me pull up the little presentation I put together for us tonight, which has some of my cards in it, but we'll stop as needed throughout just to kind of talk a little bit about the cards themselves and the sets. All right, so title this The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, because I think each set has some pros and cons in here. As we get on a little later, we're actually planning to do a little ranking of these things. So, all right, so we'll go on to the first one. So here's the 4 sets we're talking about tonight. We have the 1991 set, which was celebrating the 40th anniversary of Topps. This was not actually their first attempt at an anniversary set. The 1998 Bowman set was a 50th anniversary set. So there's actually cards in that set that are serial numbered out of 50, which I think kind of set the stage for what you saw. Actually, no, like the 98 set the stage for what you saw in 2001. The 40th anniversary was their first, so I stand corrected. And then we have the 2011, which is kind of featured down in the corner, as well as the most recent one in 2021. All right, so I think we'll talk a little bit about the pros and cons of each design, show some cards, and then we're going to kind of get into it, what our favorites are in here. So we'll start with the 40th anniversary. So James, you remember, I've actually opened packs, I think, of everything in here except for 2011. So you take us back to 1991. What was the landscape with like Topps?
Well, Topps was still king, but they were getting a strong showing from Upper Deck at the time, because 89 Upper Deck was serious at that time. And I would say Topps and Upper Deck were going neck and neck at the time. And then everyone was looking for, in 91, the Chipper Jones. That was a chase card. He was the golden boy of that set. I recall looking for him, But at the time, I remember just like half and half, wanting the upper deck product or the tops, or not sure which one to invest in yet. So it was like the hobby was going through that little shift where people just didn't know. And then I heard about Leaf also the year before with Frank Thomas. So it was almost like you had three big sets to choose from. And finding that one set that is going to have the key card that's going to hold its value was the tricky part. So that got a little confusing for me, period.
And I remember this being kind of the end of the era, as we'll kind of find out, because this was the last product, and I'll move on to the next one. Talk a little about the card design that had bubble gum in there. And it was, I think, the last base set where the cards weren't kind of glossy or didn't have like some sort of insert in there, because they had to introduce the gold the very next year of 1992. But let's talk about the card design, and some of the first features that stand out to me, beyond obviously the borders on here, which are pretty all uniform, and the team names typically coming right off their logos, of how they presented it, whether it was in like sort of standard block letters or if it was in cursive, is the photography really was a step up from what was in 1990. For me, that's kind of like the thing that stands out the most from the 91 set. What was kind of like your impressions of kind of opening 91 packs and looking at them back in the day, and also looking at them now? So
Yeah, I mean, I recall 90 being so colorful. Um, the borders being so colorful, and then the year before that, Donruss was very colorful. So I thought that's what cards was starting to go towards. And then when I saw these white borders again, it was kind of refreshing because that's what I know cards to look like. But like I said, the landscape was changing, and it seemed like everyone was trying to get innovative with their designs. So to me, this was like a little simple, like little busy around the border, but I remember the pictures were pretty cool too. Like it seems like they paid more attention to the photography in this set.
I think a good example of that is just like this Carlton Fisk card where he's awaiting a throw, probably field, as Cecil Fielder is approaching home plate. And for me, looking at this card in particular, it takes me right back to being in Comiskey Park. And this would have been in the 1990 season, which was the very last season of that ballpark. Those yellow rails and the green seats, that was the ballpark I grew up going to games at, that in Wrigley Field. And this one just kind of captures it, like many of the cards of the late 80s kind of captures the ballpark that I grew up with. So
Yeah, no, I agree. That card in particular is one of my favorite because Pudge was basically a big catcher back then. But here you got Cecil Fielder, Big Daddy, just coming down, and that was like a collision waiting to happen. And who was going to get the best of who, because Carlton Fisk wasn't a small dude. Like I'm pretty sure that was
not
going
at
to be
all. Yeah.
like the immovable object versus what's the saying, immovable object to the unstoppable force. That's what that was like.
What I also like about this, just the cards that I pulled here as an example, is you see the transition in the White Sox uniform into what it is today, because Frank Thomas is wearing the uniform they wore at the end of the 1990 season, which is their current uniform to this day. The cons for me is that the backs are not very appealing. They have the traditional card stock, which is fine, but like everybody had like fancier backs by then, and Upper Deck obviously had colorful pictures that were ultra gloss on both the front and back by then. And then they also just, in hindsight, they produced this set like crazy, but so did everyone else in 1991. So it's not necessarily fair to kind of fault them for it. So it doesn't really retain a lot of value to this day. Yeah.
Yeah, but saving grace is
Hey, Jason.
you had the Desert Shield option, which is the one that everybody would love to put together. And those cards can get pretty pricey, especially that Chipper Jones if it grades really high. And for the most part, those Desert Shields were just handed out to the boys overseas, so they weren't even like handled really well. They were given to them like just as something to make them feel at home.
Yeah, I'm pulling up one right now just to kind of show the difference. And I think the Boggs is a good example of just like how good the photography is. You have a series of action shots and portraits throughout the entire set. This one kind of, I think, is homage to 53 Bowman, if there ever was one, with the sky in the background. But it's not a blue sky like you see in the Bowmans. It's a stormy sky, which you could capture obviously more easily with the photography of the early 90s than you could have of the 1950s. But you can see up in the corner here is where you have that little Desert Shield emblem.
Right.
And to my knowledge, these are commonly faked, actually. And that's like one of the things that you have to kind of be mindful of when you're trying to do something with that set, is that little emblem sometimes gets superimposed on like just a regular Topps card from that set.
Yeah, yeah. And one of my other favorite cards for photography is the Benito Santiago with the overhead look of him as
Mm-hmm.
he's looking camp under a pop up. That's one of my favorite cards of this set. And along with that Wade Boggs, this Roger Clemens always gets me standing
Yep.
next to the
Mm-hmm.
strikeout because he was like basically Mr. Strikeout at that time. So those two and the Wade Boggs are like my three favorite from the set. That illustrates their photography. Um, for the most part, others like this Randy Johnson, where he looks so stoic. He looks tall. You can tell
Mm-hmm.
through the
Yeah.
card he's so long and lanky.
Yeah. Somehow they captured that in
Right.
size with that.
And then this one I find to be neat because it doesn't say Tim Raines, it says Rock Raines, and it
Uh-huh.
illustrates his nickname. And you don't see that in any of the other ones. It's just for Tim Raines, they did Rock Raines.
Yeah, and they adopted that, I think, like the late 80s and kept it going for a while. And then they
Yeah,
dropped it back to Tim for whatever reason.
yeah,
Maybe
this
just choosing.
is, yeah, yeah. And then this is one of the few Fernando Valenzuela cards where it really shows him with the eyes up to the heavens throughout his windup,
That's
which
a really cool shot. Yeah.
yeah. So Fernando Valenzuela, that was his thing that he was his signature that he was noted for was always looking up before his delivery,
Mm-hmm.
and to have captured it finally like 10 years later is beyond me. Like I wondered why it took so long to capture him like that.
What I like about that one in particular is they were able to use, I forgot the technique it's called, but they were able to blur the background a little bit so the
Oh, the
image
bokeh
itself
effect.
stands out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called the
Hi,
bokeh.
Steve.
Yeah, and then another one I find cool is Mariano Duncan because he looks like Ozzie Smith there, who he's doubling up there on the ground. So it's almost like they traded places. They're
Mm-hmm.
almost wearing the same exact uniform, but where you would expect to see Ozzie in a picture like that, he's actually the one getting gunned out. So I really love the parallel in that picture where it's Mariano Duncan looking like Ozzie there. And then, of course, Griffey, iconic shot,
Yeah.
probably blasting one to the stratosphere. This one I find playful. The big cat looking like a pussy cat there. Always, he was such an immense figure hitting mammoth shots like
Yeah,
at
at Olympic Stadium too, I think, right?
right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And over there he's just happy go lucky taking a pose. And then I guess the last one out of these, I just wanted to show you how, like with the Rock Reigns, you see the bat getting bent from the hit of the ball, which you see common when they slow up the
Mm-hmm.
frames. But in this picture, they actually captured Jose Canseco with the massive
Wow.
torque he generated. He didn't hit the ball yet, but his torque that he generates was able to bend the bat. The bat couldn't catch up with his torque. So,
You, I
yeah,
didn't notice that before. That is pretty phenomenal.
isn't that crazy how they captured that on that? So I
Hmm.
think that was top showing off their photography in the most subtle of ways. But I love that Jose Canseco shot there just for the bat, and it shows the power he possessed. And
I
I
would
find
say the other downside, and we talked a little bit about this in preparation for this, was Stadium Club came out pretty much within a couple months of this release. And I think we kind of said when we were talking that this is Stadium Club is the set that the anniversary set should have been. With the photography was even better than what we shown here, but just also the ultra gloss finishes, front and back. It was a real step up. I mean, obviously, it's a brand they still continue to do that's known for their quality of photography. But in comparison to the anniversary sets they did later on, I think they kind of learned their lesson to not devalue the flagship set. Even though I don't think they were thinking about it at that time. That was just top second set. I mean, they had the Tiffany's, which are parallels of their base set, but this is the second set of not regular set. They had done in since the 70s when they did some of those other test issues and things.
Right. I mean, the Tiffany was a set that you buy as a set and it's limited, but the Stadium Club was distributed to the stores. So that's a big difference. And it was a premium set to match Upper Deck's premium quality with the gloss and the pictures on both sides and everything. And they kept tops as their value, where it should have been the flagship. It should have been the other way around. They should have brought up tops and maybe rebranded it as Stadium Club.
So now it brings us on to 2001. So the 2001 set actually, I don't think this was true for any of the other ones, actually hit stores in the fall of 2000, right or shortly around like the Thanksgiving holiday. There was a push at that time by the card manufacturers to get the next year's release out as soon as possible. So the cards that are in Series 1, they not only had selected the image, determined what they were going to write, but they also included all the stats from the 2000 season and were able to create the cards ready for production and release by like November. You just don't see them do that now. If anything, it's usually late, where you see some things we might get them from the year after, right? But so anyway, so that was my memory of it, and I was collecting a little bit in the year 2000 is when I kind of returned to collecting for a little while, and they were really pumping this set up because unlike the previous years, which they looked like they de-invested in their flagship products, the 2000 set's you're not getting the Chrome cards version of it, it's very ugly, whereas the Chrome was very nice. The autograph list was okay, but not like anything super spectacular. Well, that all changed with 2001 when they introduced this set. James, did you open any 2001 packs, or is this one of the sets that you didn't? Okay.
I stopped around 92 opening packs. I got frustrated hunting for Manny Ramirez's rookie card, and there were like 6 sets he came out in, and I gave up. I just didn't know which was going to be his best card, and it was just too many sets to invest in, and I checked out.
Steve thinks 2000 to 2009 are the forgotten years of cards, in my opinion, even though there's a lot of great cards in that era. So 2001, or we'll talk about the general card design. We'll kind of move on to that now. So not only did they pump up the set, but they were really kind of celebrating tops throughout the years. And they embraced that 50 being the golden anniversary. So they used gold foil throughout all the card stock in here, but we'll talk about like the parallels in a minute that they introduced the golds to the hobby at this point. But you can see they obviously used gold for the name. There's a little 50th anniversary emblem that's in the corners of the cards. That's all kind of gold foil. So one of the challenges with this set is that part can chip pretty easily. It can get indented because it's a little bit embossed too. So it makes the cards very condition sensitive. Even in the green cardstock, they can be very sensitive And because of the green cardstock front and back, it's going to show wear pretty easily on these cards. So they can be very difficult to grade too when you're trying to grade like the rookies that are kind of in this set. What they also did with this design, before I kind of get into the parallels themselves, is there's a series of inserts that they included in the 2001 set. I'm not going to go into all of them, but the autographs were really important with this set. They had 2 different series of autographs, and I'll show you some examples of those in a minute. They had the golden anniversary ones, which looked like this. And I'll bring that one back in a minute. And then they also had the Topps Team Legend cards, which are a little bit more like Topps Archives. And I'll show you some examples of that. And they had relics as well. But what was kind of interesting when I was looking up the pack odds of the autos is if you bought a hobby box, you weren't guaranteed to get an autograph like you are today. Like the odds for at least Series 1 to get a golden anniversary autograph, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Let me pull up one right now. Go back to us and grab one of the golden anniversary autos. There we go. Pull up Hank Aaron. So this is one of the golden anniversary autographs, like the Wilbur Wood that I just showed. So if you were excited and wanted to get this card, you would have to have at least opened 346 packs to guarantee that you potentially would get one. And it wasn't guaranteed that you were going to get one of the players that you desired, which made this very difficult to be able to get. The odds improved by Series 2 because they didn't produce as many cards in Series 2. And they didn't have these kind of autos in the traded update product, but they did have some autographs in that product. Really attractive autograph, I think, for the most part. So they were really kind of trying to get people excited about this set because of some of those features that they had even before. I'll talk about like the main innovation with this set coming up in a minute. Go back to presenting to do that. Go to slides here. All right, let's move on to, here it is. Okay, so I think everyone's pretty familiar with these 2 cards. If you've watched my channel, you definitely have seen these cards. So you have on at least my left right now, as I'm looking at it right now, you have the basic green cardstock design. And then on my right, you have the copy of the gold card that I own in my collection, which is the Ichiro in an 8.5. The cardstock itself is they took the green cardstock and then they like laminated it with this gold foil around all the borders and obviously the names of the players as well. And as I mentioned, it's got a texture to it, so it's a little bit embossed, so you can indent these easily, and makes the cards very difficult to be able to kind of obtain and get a good grade in as you submit those in for grading. But they're just kind of phenomenal as you kind of look at some of the gold cards now. These are the only ones that actually look like shiny gold of the sets that you can ever since then. So what's different about these 2 is they're serial numbered for the year that they're produced. So it's 2001. So they're serial numbered up to 2001. Whereas in the sets in 92, 3, and 4, they were not serial numbered, and you were guaranteed to getting 1 gold card per pack. So what do you think of the golds there as you kind of look at it? I'll show you a few more that are in my collection in the slides here. So
yeah, no, they're gorgeous. I think it's appropriate given it's 50 years of the anniversary. So, I mean, it just pops. What else is there to say? It reminds me a little bit of Topps Black Gold, where that one seemed to pop, that design where they just put gold everywhere. But yeah, to have the whole edge golden like that, there's like no mistaking you hit a good parallel there.
What's kind of neat about the cards too is it might be hard to see. I'll show an example of one on the back. So you have the image on the front, and then on the back, they have that image imposed beneath the stats in the write-up about the player, which I think is kind of cool there, kind of seeing the image twice on the card, but just kind of done in a different way. So yeah, let me show you a couple more that are just in my collection. So I have stacks of them over here, and we can take time to look at some of these cards as we get to maybe more at the end of the show. We can do more of a share of some of them, but I want to make sure we get through all of them. Here's some examples that I kind of have, and I have some Hall of Famers there, as well as Barry Bonds down here in the corner. As you can see, most of the photographs are close-ups of the ball players, usually at bat or at the mound. That's one thing you'll notice with this set. There are horizontal cards in the set, but they're not very common. And really the only big star that's a horizontal card is Pedro Martinez, to my knowledge at this point. This year from some recent submissions that I did to SGC are some cards that you kind of see here. Normally it'd be like, oh crap, I only got a 9.5, only 2 9s and things like that for cards from the 2000s probably wouldn't be very good. But as I mentioned earlier, they tend to be very difficult to grade. So this Chipper Jones, which is kind of featured here now, this is only the 7th card at SGC that's received a 9.5.
Wow.
So it's not common to be able to get a 9.5, and they've never awarded a 10 on a card. PSA has done some 10s, but they're just, if you look at the pop reports for the Escher and the Pujols cards, you'll see that getting those top grades is hard in this set. So to be able to walk away with 9s and even 8.5 is pretty exciting. What's kind of fun about the McGuire before we kind of move on, and I told you this over the phone as we're preparing. So he's card number 50 in the set. It's the 50th anniversary set, and this one's serial numbered 50 out of 2001, which I think is kind of funny. Kind of makes it a unique card in that way because it's got 50, 50, 50 featured on the card. I guess if it was a graded of 5, it would be 5s all around, but that wouldn't be very exciting for me.
Right.
And here's a few more, just kind of showing some of the ones in my personal collection we have here, including a few PSA graded ones, the Jeter, the Mariano Rivera, some of my favorites, Griffey Jr. as well. And here's the big 3, because I've shown these on my channel before, and I have them here too. So if we wanted to look at them more closely later, we can. But I think this is part of the reason there's still a legacy of the set, why people still collect the set, or these 3 cards in particular. Not only are they all future Hall of Famers, but they're some of the biggest names in the game during this period, which I think kind of really makes it pop.
Yeah. They lived up to the billing as far as being the face of the game at the time. Ichiro coming in, being an import and bringing his star with him from Japan. And then Pujols just dominating all the offensive stats. It seemed like he was getting 3 hits every day. It was unbelievable the tear he was on for basically his first 11 seasons. And appropriately, you have a Cardinals jersey there.
It's actually an Albert Pujols jersey.
There
So
you
it
go.
was appropriately timed to be able to grab that out of the closet. So
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I really enjoyed watching Pujols just put up crooked numbers all over the box score because I was heavy into fantasy league back then.
Mhm.
And if I got him in the first round, it was either him or LaDainian Tomlinson in football. Either one of those two, you were golden. They just like mashed, like
Yeah,
put
I had LT on a few of my fantasy teams too. Yeah, he was a safe bet.
right. And then or Bonds during the steroid era, but we're not going to talk about that.
We have some Bonds cards, but yeah. Yeah, so that was the 2001 set, which really kind of kicked off the serial numbered parallels for the flagship set. As I mentioned, they did it briefly with the 98 Bowman set, but that was like to celebrate the 50th anniversary. I don't know if they did serial numbered cards in 99 or not. But so they obviously took that idea and just blew it up even further with the 2001 cards. And that gold parallel is continued to this day. Within the set is still some of the more popular ones. 2002 also only had the gold parallel, but by 2003 we're starting to see an increase because they introduced the black parallel in 2003. So going at 10 years later, I'm going to kind of let you kind of take a little bit this one over since you were the 2011 guy. But I have some cards too that I can share as well as we kind of get to that. So move on from the golds. We have the diamond anniversary set. Is there anything you wanted to say a little bit about that before we kind of jumped in and looked at some of the cards?
Well, the only thing I could tell you is coming back into the hobby afterwards. Of course, Trout was like box office back then. Uh, so I already knew all about the 2011 set because at the time when I jumped back in, he was already like 2 MVPs in, and
Mm-hmm.
he was the man. He was Mr. Baseball. So, and then on top of that, Altuve was already really good. So I remember those two names were like big in this set, and Freeman was starting to show that he was on their level, but not just yet. So it was a great set. But what made it even better was the parallels. And that I remember to just, you see the atomic refractors at the time, and these were basically like the pre-atomic refractor phase. And they're just epic looking. It's not even anything to say negative about this set. You just go gaga if you see just diamond looks
Yeah, they
everywhere.
kind of speak for themselves, don't they? So
Yes.
they still had obviously the gold, they had the black, the base card obviously, but then they had these wonderful parallels, as you kind of mentioned. Here's like the three main ones that you could get
The three
in the
main,
product itself. Only one was numbered though. Yeah.
right. And then you also had the Walmart and Target retail box colors, which was blue for Walmart, red for Target. And the Target one usually gets a good amount of money because of the color combination with the red. If it has the red banner on the bottom, like for Mike Trout, it just looks really nice, and people pay
Yeah.
up for that one.
I noticed that when I was looking up the Trout cards for the purpose of this. And what's kind of funny about 2011, probably when people opened the product, he had just started, played at the end of the season, was a prospect, obviously, at that point, but wasn't somebody that people were like coveting at that point. And then 2012 happened and it hit that the card's never been the same.
Goldschmidt actually was bigger than Trout because Goldschmidt came in just hitting bombs. So I remember Goldschmidt at the time was a bigger star, and everyone thought he was going to be the 50 home run a year type of guy. So he was a bigger star coming out that update series. That's what I remember at the time. Not collecting cards, but even with Fantasy League, everybody wanted Goldschmidt. Like that was the addition in August into September. I'll show you. I'll show you
Yeah,
some.
here's a few of mine. I can stop the screen so you can share yours because you have a much deeper and robust collection than mine. So I will take the screen
No,
off and allow you to kind of share.
yours are good. Yours are good.
Might give you, let's see if I can put you here. Solo layout. You got the whole screen. So people can still hear me, but they just see you and your collection at this point.
Yeah, and then Steve said, wasn't there a black border as well? Yeah, there was a black border.
There was black bordered. There was the black cards numbered to 60, and then there was
It
the
was
black
numbered
ones
to
in
60.
Walmart that weren't numbered, right?
Right. This one's not numbered, as you could tell. So it's the Walmart one, but the one that was a parallel had the 60 on it. But yeah, I mean, what is there to say? This is just the figure itself in black. It just looks, it pops. Looks almost like a prism style, the way that they just had the player and
Mm-hmm.
they washed out everything else. But to me, when you have a card like that with the pose of a player like Brian Wilson here was iconic ending to a save. I thought
Yep.
it was brilliant. Like it's just epic. And then here's the Walmart special blue. And then
Look at how good Prince was. Yeah.
yeah, Prince Fielder was great. And then obviously each row is like
Mm-hmm.
a setup there before every at bat. So I was glad that they captured them like that for this set. And I think they try to do that for the most part because they knew this was like a big anniversary issue that they were going deep into. And here's the Hope Diamond and Trevor Hoffman. So this is my biggest Hope Diamond card. I have a few others, but as you can
But it's
tell,
one of the Hall of Famers. Yeah.
it's numbered there to 60. But yeah, all the other ones I have are non-Hall of Famers, and the Hall of Famers go for a lot of money. My
Yeah,
dog.
and the superstars as well. Because I've looked up Jeter a few times to try and acquire it, and it's just like, wow, that's
Yes.
one of these days. Jeter and Pujols, I would like to have both of those, but one of these days, they're big cards.
Yeah, so I'm putting the set together, like, but not like of a specific type. If it's cognac, diamond, hope, or any parallel for that matter, I'm all about it. And like for the base cards, it depends. Like the commons, I don't want to invest too deep into it, but like for instance, with this cognac Mickey Mantle, this is the only one that's not a short print, but is of Mickey Mantle. It's so cool because it
Pretty
has
nice
them
looking.
like, yep, it has them like in a way where he's an shot and he's taking out the second baseman trying to break up
Looks like
the
he's flying in this card because you can't see the base or the ground. It's kind of fun.
right. But that's the only one that's not a short print. Like he's number 7 in the set, and that's the main card. Other than that, this is the part that I love about this set is all the short prints, like this one, Paul O'Neill. They use the legend to commemorate someone of the current era, either
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
we've been
team.
retired for 10 years, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so like Paul O'Neill was this generation's Curtis Granderson. And so they celebrated the short print version was Paul O'Neill. So the short print versions carry a premium, some not too much, others a lot. And then, like, for instance, they sometimes try to tie them either for the team. Like, I guess I'll show you Miguel Cabrera here. I'm going to quiz you. Who do you think was tied to Miguel Cabrera?
Let's see. He hadn't done the Triple Crown yet, so they probably wouldn't take that into consideration. I'm gonna say it was maybe a Tiger legend. I'm gonna go with maybe Al Kaline.
Ding, ding, ding. You got it right.
Yeah.
Al Kaline. So he was in the update series. That was an update series. And then he was in the regular series. And then they tied him to Hank Greenberg in series 1. And another parallel that I'm
Wow, that's a cool
including
card.
with the parallels is the sparkle. And if you want to bring this
Yeah.
one up big so you can see.
Yeah, I'm gonna put you solo so people can see what this is because I didn't know what it was at first when I was looking things up, but because it's not
So,
so easy to find some of the sparkles.
right. If you look at his hat, you'll see there's a sparkle right there underneath the D. And that was like a short print of the short prints, not just the legends. This was like a SSP. It was almost like a box hit or a case hit or something. And these, like this Miguel Cabrera holds more of a premium than like the cognac or the diamond. So there was 120, if I remember correctly, between the first series and the second series. And the update, they didn't really include the sparkle. I think they just really wanted to focus on the cognac version. And then they even have like a super, super short print, which is double sparkle. There's only 3 players that have the double sparkle. And those are like, I don't see anyone with those. Those are like super tough. But just to show you some more short prints, I'll quiz you again. Who do you think they got with Johnny Bench to show his legend?
I think they'll focus on the position of catcher. Would be that one versus the team. I'm going to think probably Buster Posey.
Jesus, you're pretty good, man. Buster
He was
Posey.
hot stuff right at that point. Yep.
Yeah, you came in really hot. I got another one for you.
They just won the World Series, right? In the previous year,
Yeah,
2010. Yeah.
they did. They did. Who do you think they got with Babe Ruth? This one I know I'm going to stump you.
They have with Babe Ruth, Mark Teixeira. I think he was still with the Yankees at that point, wasn't he? That's what my guess
He
is.
was with the Yankees. He won a championship with them, I think, in 09.
Yeah,
So
that'd be my guess. Was it Teixeira?
it was actually Adam Dunn.
Adam Dunn.
And that's because he used to
Mark
hit,
Harrelson called him the big donkey here in
yeah,
Chicago.
he used to hit 470-foot moonshots, man. This guy was a beast. This is a gold parallel you can see on the bottom.
Mhm.
And I guess a few more I'll do. Who do you think is in with Justin Morneau?
Rod Carew.
It's Harmon Killebrew.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And then Brandon Phillips.
Joe Morgan.
Yes, of course. And
That's
then
sweet.
what's that?
It's pretty sweet. I know that there's like some like all-time legends that are kind of missing. And I know they had to be selective, but like seemed like maybe they don't have like the rights to certain players. Like I've noticed, like the White Sox don't have many, right? But they like very focus on like guys that have played pretty much since the 1950s on, but you never see like Nellie Fox have a card. I think even Luis Aparicio has very few they produced. You would think, that if you're doing those, it would be those guys, right? Or
Right,
Minnie
right,
Mioso, things like that. But it was like Frank Thomas, and which is great. But and Carlton Fisk, Tom Seaver with the White Sox were the ones they kind of had.
right. And then, well, and then, of course, like yours had it with the '01, had the two big ones, Ichiro and Pujols. This one had a ton of up and comers like Freddie Freeman. I just bought a cognac version. I won
Sweet.
last night, so I get to upgrade this and put in my binder a cognac version of his. Oraldis Chapman, who basically just hit
Mm-hmm.
105 the other day.
How's
It's,
he throwing faster now than he did when he was younger?
I
That's crazy.
know he got Manny Machado talking back to him. Chris Sale, who's having a
Yep.
resurgent year with the Braves.
Before he cut up his Sox jersey. Yeah.
Yeah. Charlie Blackman, who's already kind of not himself anymore, but when he came into the league, he came on like gangbusters. Rizzo, who
Very
is
similar. Yeah.
he's having a little off year with the
He'll always be loved here in Chicago for being on the 2016 Cubs. Yep.
Yep. Of course, Altuve. I'm
Yep.
on the hunt for his diamond or cognac. Paul Goldschmidt, which I mentioned, was actually a little bit bigger than Trout at the time. Of course, Trout.
I was going to ask if you had the Trout. We didn't plan that before.
That's a tough one to get in a diamond or cognac. And then JD Martinez. So they have a huge rookie card class. And then the other reason why I love this set is because it's chock full of inserts that really spoke to me. The first insert that I got from the set was this Jackie Robinson Patch Hughes
Yeah,
uniform.
I'll give you a little bit more of the stage here so you can see that a little more close.
Yeah, and as you could tell, it's numbered to 99. So I picked this up in a collection that I purchased, and in there was this card, and I was shocked because this basically paid for the little collection I picked up. And to my surprise, I didn't even know which set it was in because, like I said, I wasn't ripping stuff at the time. And when I found out it was the 2011 insert, that's when I just started like researching who else is in there. Babe Ruth, who I needed to know. And that insert set, the top 60 insert set, is so cool because it has autographs, it has relics, it has, I'll show you right now, like Miguel Cabrera here. It has so many names.
That's a nice one.
So cool. Here's an autograph relic of Henley Ramirez, who at the time was big. This would have been like a huge addition back then when he was starring with the Marlins doing his thing. Here's a jumbo relic. Look how big that is of Ike
Oh,
Bates.
wow.
That's his number, I believe.
Yeah, they don't do these in these sets anymore, right? They put them
No.
in their high-end products.
And it's
So
basically
it's hard to get a patch like that in
yeah,
the regular series.
and that's why I was really like saying, you know what? I'm not just gonna do the cards themselves. I'm gonna pick up the inserts and then to do like a short printed version, I'm just gonna pick up the autos, the relics. There's a few more just before you minimize me. But this is
Oh,
Roy Campanella. This is a game used bat. This is number 299.
that's really nice. That's well put together.
And then, of course, the legends, chock full of legends, Duke Snyder, Hank Aaron autograph. And you still got your rookie, Freddie Freeman autograph here. So the insert sets, like I was alluding to, I got a little binder with just the inserts. Let me see. Oh, yeah, here it is. So I have nothing but the inserts in here.
I'm gonna get a bigger screen again. Hopefully people are getting nauseous of me going back and forth with it.
The cool thing is these have like short printed versions also with the original background, the original backs, I mean, where this is what the ordinary cards look like. But
oh,
if you
okay.
want the original back, that's considered a short printed version. So as you can
interesting.
tell, I have 6 more to go to complete the short prints just in this page. But these are the cards that were never made for Topps. Like you see the
because they were in Bowman or not, either one.
Yeah, Roy Campanella, and then there's some others, and then you got a lot of these. These are one of my cool ones that I like. It's the Kimball Champions that look like T206s. So these, I think I'm 3 short of completing those, and then on to the. So as you could tell, I have like the regular base, and then find an autograph or a relic, I just swap them out. And so eventually, I'm gonna try to have either a relic or an auto, or relic auto or jumbo, of like as many of these as I could find. Not all of them have like a relic or autograph, but I'm gonna try my best to swap them all out. Like
you've made significant progress on this already.
Yeah, that's Andrew McCutcheon, which is like a recent one. He's like one with a few. I recently saw Babe Ruth come up, and the guy wants like $800 for the Babe Ruth relic, and it happens to be like a pinstripe.
Wow.
Yeah, and then you have these diamond stars, and you have the.
Those are catchy.
Yeah, they're pretty nice looking. These diamond duos, I don't think I'm gonna collect the relics, because the relics for the most part are just, they look like a regular plain swatch, so it doesn't like enthuse me to chase them down for $50 or $25.
Okay.
And then you have the Topps Town, which are nice and glossy. And another one that I'm not chasing is the All-Star relics. Like they just basically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
the previous year's All-Star game. Yeah.
So for me, they got a little lazy with the All-Stars. So I didn't feel enthused to chase those down. But overall, I think there's so much to the 2011 set that I just had so much fun collecting, not just the regular set, the updates with the different parallels, but also the fact that the inserts are like, you can have fun with those. So like for me, it's like a monster set. And the only difference is it looks a little bit like Frankenstein because there's so many color variations in the pages, but I really don't care.
One of my good friends has a set like that, and it looks beautiful the way that it is. Yeah.
It's so cool. No, I mean, I'm allowed to appreciate whether it's a sparkle for one card or hope the next card over, or not a canary, but that's a chrome, but like a cognac or a diamond. So, and then some people choose the diamond over the cognac because like with the diamond, you get to see like the background a little more, whereas the cognac, you wash it out and you only see the players.
Yeah, the diamond definitely catches the light a little bit better. I see that Warren is wondering where Jason went. Jason's probably on a live stream now, so he couldn't stay for very long.
Yeah, but Well, that's why I love the 2011 set, because it's not only beautiful, but it's so deep as far as where you could take it. And as far as you want to take it, you could go. And it's challenging. I don't like sets that are really easy. I like them when they're a little challenging and you get to enjoy the
Okay.
marathon. It's not a race, you know?
Enjoy things as they come in. Yeah. Here's a few more that I have. I don't have a lot. I started acquiring these because of Derek Jeter cards. So I don't have much beyond that. All right, so now on to the most recent release. Let me pull some cards aside here. 2021. And you were telling me that you didn't really break a lot of this product because you were kind of like done breaking product by 2021. Is that about right?
Yeah, 2020 was where I told myself I need to stop because I don't see the value in breaking and ripping. I know it's fun. You never know what you're going to pull, but I guess I have bad luck. I don't pull good stuff, good autographs or anything like that. And so I just gave up. I just said, I'd rather buy singles at this point.
So here's an example of like just some of the cards. There's the, player short print, legend short print of like Hank Aaron, which matched up to Freddie Freeman. I liked this set in one way because they reintroduced a very nice looking gold card, because the gold for 2020 and 2019 don't look good at all. So I do like that. That was kind of an improvement. There's a player short print of Juan Soto down in the corner. But then they introduced like these other, like they had green, red, and orange foil cards that you see up here in the corner here, like of Albert Pujols, which are actually pretty cool looking cards. They kind of capture the light pretty well too. But what's kind of interesting about this set in general is, I would say, if it depends on your preferences, but this for me is one of the cons with the set is there are 21 different parallels of the cards in the set. So it makes it almost impossible to kind of like get anywhere near a master set, let alone probably like even focusing on maybe like one parallel over the other might have been very difficult too. So you can do that Frankenstein set and just try and get a parallel of every card in the set and maybe do it that way. There was a short period of time where I was working on that for like a month. And then I've since moved to both of those cards on because I didn't find it as satisfying as doing some other set building projects at that point. But the kind of the basic card design is they have a little 70th anniversary logo up here, which was the platinum anniversary. They did introduce one chase card really for this, which were numbered to 70 to match the anniversary year. But there was also a 101 version of this one too, which you didn't know until you looked at the back of the card to see what the serial number was, because the front looks exactly the same. And that's the platinum anniversary one, which I'll pull out here in a minute. But I will say that because there are serial number cards that are less than 70, this one didn't really capture the audience as maybe ways that they kind of had hoped for, because there's serial numbers out of 50, serial numbers out of 25, serial numbers out of 10. So, I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot by trying to make a card that would be like the featured card for this set by having those already present by that time when they put this product out. And I'll bring that up in a minute, show you what it looks like. And to add to it, it's not that attractive. I like it because it's Albert Pujols. I will say that he's one of my guys. But it's not as attractive as 2001 Gold, 2011 Diamond Anniversary, Cognac Anniversary, Hope Diamond. It just doesn't, catch it for me. I don't know. What do you think? So, like, pretty much the border has 70 kind of embedded in the card stock. So that's kind of the thing that makes it look a little bit different than the base card. So it's like platinum all around, which is kind of just it's not very shiny. It's just a dull gray on the card, and it's numbered on the back. On this one was number 3 out of 70. So what are your thoughts on this, James?
What this card signifies to me when I look at a card like this, and I don't know if it's just this card in particular, but it looks like the 55 Bowman that's a TV set. This looks like it's the LED version, where it just looks like it's a TV screen, and Albert Pujols is on the TV. Uh, I don't know. It's cool. I'm not trashing it, but it's the design of it. It's just different. It's cool. I'm not dissing it. I mean, I was checked out a little bit from ripping, so I don't know if it was because I was checked out that I just didn't get into this set or what, but it does remind me a little, this card in particular, of an LED TV or so.
Yeah, expose a little bit. Yeah. If you didn't know that this was numbered to 70 and this one was numbered to 499, what would you prefer? You know, as you kind of look at, I'll stop the screen so I can put them side by side a little bit more easily. Like, what would your preference? You know, like which one would you want to have in your collection, right? If you just have one.
I mean, I like yours a lot. But the green one is nice too. Like,
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
go wrong, honestly.
So
I
some of the
think
other parallels in the set are more striking and eye-catching than the featured one for the set. So I think that's kind of a negative for it, and obviously the print runs were crazy for this product by the time it came out. So it's just more and more difficult to be able to try and pull a card in here. So just kind of put it into context. So the gold is specifically, which obviously started in 2001, the odds of pulling that in the Series 1 box from 2001 were 1 in 17 packs. So if you got a hobby box, you were going to get one. You often get 2 blaster boxes, you were going to get one. By the time we hit 2011, I couldn't get the print runs for those, but I think it wasn't like that hard to do. But by the time we got to 2021, the golds were 1 in 27 packs. So you could buy a hobby box and not get a gold card, which seems crazy to me. Retail was 1 in 23, so it was a little bit better odds, but you have to buy a bunch of retail to do it. Yeah, it was just interesting. And the platinum, to be able to try and pull that card out of a hobby box, was like 1 out of 175 packs. So,
wow.
but you were guaranteed autos, you know, in some ways, which you weren't guaranteed autos when we opened these packs up in 2001. So,
Okay, that's saying a lot. I mean, the print runs is a big deal. I remember with the 2011 set, the cognac to the diamonds, it was like 2 to 1, the diamonds over the cognacs. But still, they still get like equal money sometimes, or because people prefer the diamond ones. Sometimes the diamond gets a little bit more money because it just looks a little more brilliant overall. But I remember I tried to get into the print run with knowing which one to get into, and when I saw there was no difference really, unless it's like Mike Trout, I was like, ah, whatever, I'm good. The one that I am looking for is the 1 of 1 diamond, the one that has the real diamond.
the diamond inserted in it. Yeah.
Yeah, it has a diamond right where this part is. I'm sorry, right there, and then it has the 1 of 1 right next to it to let you know you have the only one of that one, but it's not really the only one. I don't think so. It was you had to put in for the diamond giveaway, and I'm not sure if they just made one for the player or if they just like if you won it you got to choose the player or something, because I wasn't collecting back then, but I remember
I'm
you
not
just,
sure. Yeah.
yeah, you put in for the giveaway, and if you won, you had a chance to get that 1 of 1 card, and that's how you got it. So it wasn't like you ripped it and
It
pulled it.
wasn't pack inserted. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I remember those diamond giveaway cards, and I didn't know what they were for, but that makes sense.
Yeah, it was to get that
Mhm.
card, and that's why I'm wondering if it's just one or if it's just that you won one, like you got the prize, and that's why it's a 1 of 1. I tried to
Right.
research that, but I couldn't. It was more like hearsay, so it was tough.
So now that we've gone through all 4 anniversary sets, now it's time to do our rankings. So, James, I'll let you go first. In as far as your preferences for just the general design inserts, we'll leave the sort of the rookie class to a separate question. You know, how would you rank the 4 sets that are available. Again, 91, 2001, 2011, and 2021.
I would put 11 number one. Maybe I'm biased because I'm collecting it, but overall, before I was collecting it, it would still spoke to me so much more. Um, '01 would be two, but not by far when you look at the gold parallel that you're collecting, because those look brilliant. And then between three and four, it's almost a tie. I would say maybe 21-3 because of the parallels. They just look brilliant in some cases. And last but not least, because if you do the Desert Storm, I would probably put that one third, maybe almost second, because those Desert Storms are beasts. And so I'm probably the worst one to ask because I'll be flip flopping left and right the next day. But if you're asking me parallels, it's still 11 for me, but it might be Desert Storm second, then '01 gold, and then 21, whichever parallel you name it. If it's the
Okay. Yeah, if you had to rank it by parallels, yeah. I would rank. I think I would also go 2011 is my favorite of the 4, even though I don't have a lot of cards from it. I do gravitate towards 2001 for a very kind of specific reason, too, really. It's the players that were available at the time, and the nostalgia that I had because I actually opened those packs and was excited to be able to pull gold cards at that time. Is why I probably would go to number 2, maybe even at times putting it over 2011. By the time we get down the list, 2021 probably would be the next one, just because there is some cards in there that could be of value over time if you hold them that were more easily and readily accessible than some of the cards you could find for 91. But that's not a knock on 91, as you mentioned. If you can get, the Desert Storm cards or the Tiffany cards, they are just wonderful investments because some of the photography there is just really top notch for the time, even though they printed it using more of their traditional cardstock design and throwing bubble gum in the packs, which ruined the cards. What about rookie classes? So how would you rank the rookie classes amongst the 4 products? And do you think you would change your rankings in 10 years?
I think I would change it, yes, but I have to go with '01 because we're talking about two immortals with Ichiro and Pujols. Like you can't compare Trout yet. You might be able to compare him a little with Pujols, but he's been injury plagued, and then any one of Freeman or Altuve is still not Ichiro. Close, but not. You have to put '01 first, and then 11, and then 91, I guess, and then 21.
I think my rankings would probably mirror yours pretty closely. Again, 01. I think if we were doing this 20 years ago, there's some of these players might still be like ones we're kind of talking about, but their careers are all over, so we know where they landed. But the Pujols and Ichiro were hot rookies from day one. But there was other names that kind of gathered a lot of attention because of the careers that they had early on. Like Jake Peavy's got this in update, but he also has the rookie in actually, I think, Series 1. He was a big name at the time. Justin Morneau had won the MVP. He was runner-up another year. That was a big rookie at the time, too. He was kind of the 3rd or 4th best rookie of the whole year. And then you had Jose Reyes, who was tearing things up a little bit, too, when he first came on the scene, who garnered a lot of attention as well. But I think that's also kind of buyer beware and be aware, their careers are not over yet. So we just don't know how far they're going to go in their careers. So when you think about the next one for you, it's 2011. Obviously, Mike Trout is, in the Hall of Fame. Freddie Freeman's well on his way too. Paul Goldschmidt, a few more good seasons, he's probably in there. Same with Chris Sale. Aroldis Chapman probably will be in there as a reliever. But some of these other ones that were so hot just 5-6 years ago in the hobby, have tailed off. Their career arc has already kind of hit and they're falling off. So that's something to kind of be aware of. Then I probably would go to 91 just because we have the Chipper Jones in there. Up traded Scott Ivan Rodriguez in there as well. Because 2021 rookie class so far is not proven to show that there's any like all-time greats in there just yet. But their careers, it's early, so it might change. But nobody's really jumped off the page to me.
Yeah, yeah. And then in 21, that rookie class is just, I don't know. I don't know of any 21 rookie that people are really clamoring for. I'm excited to see what they do for the 75th anniversary in 2 years. What do you think they're going to do for that year?
I hope they do an anniversary set. It had been every 10 years that they'd done them. I hope they break tradition. Fanatics probably will do that. And we'll do some sort of 75th anniversary set. I don't know what that equates to as far as like in gold, platinum, or whatever. I'm not sure what 75 is. But it'll probably be fashioned some shape after that. I hope it has maybe like a card design that really kind of pays homage to some of the earlier designs that Topps had in the 50s would be my hope. They've reused them a lot over the years, the old card designs. So I hope it's not exactly the same, but I hope they do something, that kind of gives sort of that vintage feel without it looking silly.
Right. And then this is where Fanatics is almost taking over. I think they have the license 26 or 25, one of those 2 years. But this is where they get to like show why they were going to take over and put their signature stamp on a anniversary year, like it's their chance to show and prove that they could take it to the next level, that the hobby's good in their hands per se.
Yeah, and I think it's also the first year they're going to be able to start doing licensed NBA cards too. So it'll be a busy year for them because like their basketball cards that came out this year are like not licensed, so you don't see the jerseys or the team names and things like that as you would hope on there, which make it look like Panini products, which that's not an improvement at this point.
Right.
All right. So kind of wrapping up, is there any kind of few cards you wanted to kind of share with the group before we kind of wrap up for the night?
No, I mean, I shared some of the ones that I pulled out from my binder. Other than that, I have the binder there. But I'm just having fun with it. Like, it's just a blast trying to procure all the ones that you could find. The Blue Hopes, man, the Hope Diamonds are a beast. I've tried to upgrade those to the Hope Diamonds or the Sparkle. Those are the two I always look for. I get always outpriced for those. I did pick up an 01 recently. I think you have the slide of the Ichiro.
Yeah, I can share that real quick.
Yeah, I've been on the hunt for an Ichiro rookie that was autographed, and I finally found one last night. And I'm very prideful of this edition. So, man, this has been like 3 to 4 years looking, and his prices started going up, and out of control. And I finally found one for less than the average rate that it's going for. So I won that last night.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I can't wait till I get that bad boy in. And like I said, I found the Freeman also last night in a cognac. So
that I don't have pulled up, but
no, but it's just to say that I'm upgrading them little by little. Altuve is the next one I'm hot to, find. That one's tough, man, because it always goes for around $200 to 150, and I'm trying to see if I could get it for under 100. But that's the challenge, and that's why it takes a year to 2 years sometimes.
I guess you could always find something you could buy when you're building a set that large.
Yeah, I continue with the short prints. I only have about half of them completed with the legends, so that one's cool. And that one, it doesn't have to be a diamond or a cognac, because even the base is a short print. So just to have the legend is good enough for me. But it depends on the name. Sometimes they just go through the roof. My latest edition was the Honus Wagner. I just got that one in like Monday. So that was a good one to scratch off. I was happy with that one. But yeah, that's my progress. I'm gonna keep whittling away at it, and it's fun.
And I would say for me, I'm not trying to build the whole set for 2001. But what I am trying to do is continue to get the Hall of Famers and the big superstars of the era, because so many of the superstars are steroid users, so they won't make the Hall of Fame at this juncture, graded. So, and I've had some good results so far. So these are just all sums that I've kind of got graded myself, as I kind of shared earlier. And I was really happy to get 9s on some of the cards, including like Tony Gwynn, who played his final season in 2001. So, all-time great. That was super popular when I was a kid. And probably my favorite all-time pitcher. And a 9, I was super happy to be able to get the Pedro Martinez back in a 9. So,
Who do you have left? That's tough.
a lot. That's when we start pulling a lot of them, but I'd like to get the bonds in for grading, and I still have a slew of Hall of Famers. Like, I haven't sent them to Frank Thomas yet. He's one of my guys, but some of these golden moment ones where they commemorate things that happened within the first 50 years of Topps, to have like Hall of Famers on there. I'd like to get graded. I think the ones that have the gold borders with the black and white photo are just amazing looking. So this Clemente is just a beautiful card. I'd like to get these kind of graded as well. So yeah, I kind of get done, and hopefully maybe I'll stumble on a 10, the first 10 that goes through HGC. So stay
Wow.
tuned. So,
What's the disparity from a 10 to a 9, like in price point? Like a lot? Double?
yeah, it would be, depending on what the player is, as it would be for anybody. I sold some 8s recently of Derek Jeter that I got back. I had 3 8s in SGC, and it was the 3 highest grade cards they had for him. And I sold 2 of them, and I was able to move them like that for like $80 a piece. So yeah, the 10 probably at least be a kind of 150. Probably a 9 would fall somewhere between there for some of those players. Lesser stars, maybe a little bit less too. So, but I don't know. I mean, it would be super rare to get it in the first place. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm selling it short.
Yeah, I guess it's like the Hope Diamonds for me. I saw, I forgot who it was, like last week. There was a Hope Diamond of, I think it was a legend, and that thing went for like $100. And I'm like, raw $100? Are you kidding me? Like, man, these Hope Diamonds are out of control.
Well,
Yeah.
James, thanks again for agreeing to do this with me and jumping on. And thank you for those of us who were able to join us live, and anybody watching in rerun. If you like it, feel free to kind of obviously like the video, but please leave a comment. I love hearing from people if they enjoyed it. Let me know if you yourself are working on any of these sets and things like that too. If you have any questions about building either the 2001 or 2011 sets, we get in touch with us. It's fine. I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think any closing thoughts, James, you have for
No, I
start
mean,
off the night?
everyone knows me for vintage and pre-war, but I still collect modern as much as anyone else. And I don't set build, but the 11 and the 52 are the ones that just really appeal to me so much. And it's funny how I bookended like the second set they did, like the first major one, and 2011, which was like a big anniversary one that they did. And I'm having fun with both of them. They're all just a marathon for me. And I picked off some good ones with the 52 at the National. And this 2011, maybe I'll do a video like really getting into detail of what I'm working on, but I think it would take like an hour. So that's why I haven't taken on that video yet, because I would probably show my passion through there and it'll take like an hour for me to just go through. Mhm.
Whereas I'll do updates as I'm working on projects throughout, and do an annual update, and I do like 6-month progress reports on where I'm at. So, and I'll be returning to some of the bigger projects shortly. Had to deviate briefly to be able to save up for a very specific item that finished off one of those projects that I just acquired this week, or at least I purchased. I've not gotten it yet. So stay tuned for that. So
Yeah.
with that said, good night, everybody.
Well, thank you for having me, Mitchell.
Oh, cancel, cancel, cancel. Hit the wrong button. Here we go, end stream.